Hello brew tubers. So this is going to be my first grain to glass video. I'm making a Treehouse Julius clone. There's a really great site that I found online from a guy, presumably American guy, that's been cloning or attempting to clone this beer for some time. I took his recipe. It's not exactly his, I've tweaked it very slightly. I'll give you a quick rundown in terms of the recipe. So we've got 2 kilos of Marisota, 2 kilos of pale malt, 1.25 kilos of flaked oats, 650 grams of crystal 10, and 350 grams of aromatic malt. So this is going to be making a 23 litre batch. I have just weighed out the grains, just waiting for the water to come up to temp. And we are pretty much bang on there. I'm recirculating just to get a consistent temp within the mash tun. And yeah, we're ready to rock. So all of you must have heard of Treehouse Julius before. I'm attempting to clone this beer having never tasted the beer. But given it is one of the most highly rated beers in the world, why wouldn't you try and brew it? So I've got no way of having any comparison, but I'm hoping it's going to make a really good beer. So it's going to be a pretty big beer. It's an IPA coming in at, according to Beersmith, 6.6%. The OG is 1064. That's what I'm shooting for. It's around 75 IBUs, and the colour is pretty low, about 11. So I'm going to mash in, and I'll see you in a second. Right, so first things first, I'm drinking a very nice beer from a brewery in Southampton, where I live, called Unity, run by a great guy called Jimmy Hatherley. This is Collision. It's a really hazy South Coast IPA. Real juice bomb. It's a lovely beer. Cheers, guys. Yep, nearly forgot my grain bag. Not a good start. In the process of fucking about, I think I'd lost about 4 degrees from my strike temp, so I'm just having to put the elements back on. So we're all mashed in, fairly thick mash for brewing the bag. So I'm going to cover this up and leave it for 60 minutes. So all mashed in. Strike temp was 74 degrees C. Shooting for a mash temp of 69 degrees C, so it's fairly high mash temp. Try and get a nice full body on this beer. And I have hit bang on 69, which is fantastic. So if it stays at that temp for an hour, I'll be impressed. So as this is a New England style IPA, I've had to do some water treatment. Water here in Southampton is really hard. So I've used some CRS, used about 35 ml just to try and reduce the carbonates in the water, get the alkalinity down, try and hit the pH, which I'll test in a bit, and then subsequently added some table salt, some Epsom salts, and some calcium chloride. Trying to shoot for a chloride heavy water profile, try and give it that atypical New England IPA style kind of thick malty goodness, make those hops pop. And I forgot to tell you what yeast I was going to use to ferment the beer. So I have used Conan yeast, or Vermont ale yeast from Yeast Bay, which I think is a White Labs kind of Burlington ale, basically a heady topper house strain. It's a really nice yeast. It gives like a nice peachy stone fruit kind of ester. I've built a starter, 2-step starter, because it's quite a big beer. I was stepping it up from just a kind of little bit of slurry that I had. Just got some new kegs. So basically this has been a double brew or brew on the bounce, try and get both of these kegs filled. So I've got something fairly sessionable in the fridge, and this is going to be something a bit heavier for midweek, maybe weekend, any day. So I've just checked the mash pH and it seems like I've shot it pretty low. Not entirely sure why that might be the case, but I'll have to see if there's anything I can do to bump it back up, because that's kind of too low. Right, rechecked the mash pH, kind of nearing the end of the mash. We're at 5.3, so all good. Right folks, it's been a very interesting mash. Temps have been all over the place. I've been trying to use a new pump and recirculation, and I left the pump on way too long. I didn't realise it was on, so quiet. So temps dropped really low. I tried to get them back up. The bottom of the mash was showing way higher than the top. So all in all, I'm trying to measure the pre-boil gravity. I think it's coming in about 1046 and it should have been at 1053, so I'm about 6 points off, which isn't great. May mean that it's probably going to be a little less strong, which is fine, but I'm concerned about the mouthfeel. Might not get that same juicy, chunky mouthfeel that I'm looking for, so we'll see. Alright. So hop schedule is 10 grams of Magnum at 60 minutes for bittering. We have 10 grams of Apollo at 20 minutes. 20 grams of Citra at 15 minutes. 10 grams of Apollo at 10 minutes. And 40 grams of Apollo and 80 grams of Citra at Whirlpool. Oh, that smells good. So we're about 35 minutes or so into the boil. I've only made one addition so far, which is Magnum at 60 minutes, which is the bittering hops. I'll be adding some hops in about 5 minutes, which I think is Apollo. Absolutely massive Whirlpool addition going in, which I think is something like 120 grams, which is big Aroma hop. Got a Whirlpool piece attachment to the kettle here and a pump, so I can Whirlpool that for a good 20 minutes, half an hour. Right, we're very nearly at flame out. Immersion chiller has been in for 15 minutes or so. My new Frankenstein immersion chiller, which is half pre-made, half homemade. I'm hoping that there's going to be no leaks from these compression fittings, but I reckon I'm going to get a pretty rapid cool down, which is going to be great because it shortens the brew day. Right, I am now whirlpooling, flame out. I've added the hops. Guess who forgot to cool the wort before I added 120 grams of hops? Yep, you guessed it. So I noticed after about 3 minutes and managed to cool it down pretty quickly, and the new Frankenstein chiller worked a dream. It took it from 100 down to around 70 in next to no time. So works really well. And measured OG using a refractometer, came out 1060. I was shooting for 1064, so it's not too bad. Actually will give me around 6.4%, which is actually not too bad. Now that colour is looking NEIPA, if I've ever seen one. My poor pump is really struggling with that massive Whirlpool Hop Edition. Can you hear it? Oh, whining away. Normally it's silent. Bless. Right, so we are now transferring the beer. It's fully cooled. We're at 20 degrees. Coming out. Pumping in. It's quite a brown colour. Sort of yellowish brown. I'm not sure if that's probably going to drop clear a little bit. Hopefully give a nice kind of yellow colour. We'll have to see. So there we have the nice big Conan yeast starter ready to go in. Need to give that a good shaky. Look at all that yeast stuck to the bottom. Need to get that in suspension. Give it a shake. Woo! Oh, come on. Come on. Oh, it's just not moving. 99 beer. We hit 22.5 litres, which I was aiming for 23, which is great. So hit the volume, which is lovely. In fairness, it was a litre starter that went in, so let's bumped it up. Nice. Sleep tight. It's around 18 hours since I finished the brew day, and we have a nice bit of activity going on in there. We've got a nice carousing beginning to happen, so really good. Taking off. Whoop. Ooh. You're live. There you are. The final part, the grain to glass. Let's try the beer. Boo! Here's the result. So it's been on keg for at least a month now. I've been really poorly the last couple of weeks, so I haven't been able to make this video, which has been a pain. I haven't been able to taste anything, haven't been able to smell anything, and obviously that's not too helpful to be able to explain to you guys how the beer is. But finally, I'm beginning to feel a bit better. Having a beer, it's Friday night. So I brewed this on, I think maybe the, when was it? Maybe the sometime at the beginning of the new year, maybe even between Christmas and New Year, I can't remember. But I'm really pleased with how it came out. It's my real first attempt at a New England IPA style, and it's a real banger. I'm really pleased with it. In terms of aroma, like lots of tropical fruits, as you would expect, a real juice bomb of a beer. It's quite orange. It's got a lot of orange to it. There's a lot of bread kind of aromas from the malt. I think the aromatic malt really added like an interesting malt dimension, but mostly it's just hops. Yeah, it's citrusy, it's dank. There's definitely some dank in there from the Citra. I don't know if anyone else gets dank from Citra these days. So it's, yeah, tropical orange. So cheers, guys. It's definitely got bitterness. There were quite a lot of hot side additions to this beer as opposed to all late addition hops. Obviously there was a massive late addition hop to this beer, as well as a big dry hop, but there was a lot of hot side additions. I think from memory I had 20-minute additions, 15, 10 and 5, I think. So there's still a good kind of level of IBUs in this beer. So decent head retention, which is great. In terms of colour, I've got a torch, so it kind of begins to give you a sense. I reckon it's actually quite a dark beer. It's quite dark. I'm not sure that's because I added some Munich to it. It's adding a little bit of an orange hue. There's a little bit of crystal in it. So it's darker than your classic NEIPA, I would say. That's probably about the right colour, what you're seeing on the screen. So I'm really pleased with the colour. The colour was great. Head retention's great. Mouthfeel, body is really good. From the Waltz treatment. So overall, very, very pleased with this beer. I would recommend brewing it. It's a good recipe. I'll post the recipe down below in the description. So cheers guys, hope you have a great weekend, and happy brewing. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. Lots more videos coming this way. See you later.